Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka BatBomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Rocket Knight Adventures Sparkster figure from Premium DNA Toys. Now, taking a look at the box, we can see that old school artwork from the original video game right there on the front. And if we turn the box around, some more images of the figure. And if we actually open the lid of the box, we can see that the figure is in a window box packaging showcasing all of its accessories, and I see the startup menu for the original video game, which I think is pretty cool. So with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let them breathe. Alright guys, so who remembers Rocket Knight Adventures? I genuinely cannot believe we even have a figure of this guy. What, like almost close to 40 years later, probably 35 plus years later, we're getting a cool action figure. And this is one of the coolest things. You know, I remember just back as a kid, a lot of us wanted all these cool action figures and toys of all these video games that we were playing at the time, and we never really got them. It seems up until recently. So just getting new action figures, you know, in this day and age of these classic video games that we used to play is really cool to me. So I'm really excited that we got this. So this just turned out great, dude. I love the way he looks, especially with the paint apps. The paint apps are insanely good. Like if you look at things like the shoulder pad here, you see that little bit of like a dot just for the paint to give it like a little bit of a highlight. And then you see this darker fade into the lighter blue, which I think looks super cool. So I do love how that turned out. And then you get these little bits of like highlights all throughout the figure, even like things on the fingers like that. You know, if you see that like darker blue fades into the lighter blue, even things like the feet here, you can see where there's like a little bit of a darker like orangish yellow, and then a little bit of a highlight right there. Looks good. See that little bit of a highlight right there on the feet like that, right here on the crotch piece. I mean, the goggles look awesome. I love how they got that look right there. Even on the face itself has a little bit of like a highlight in the ears. See that little dark line going on the inside right there. Looks really cool on the side of the helmet. All that looks awesome, man. I love the paint apps on this. Like even things on the tail here, like that's paint inside the grooves of that tail. You know, that wasn't really needed to add, but they did it anyways, and I think it turned out really good. Like you can see on the body itself how there's like a lighter brown and a darker brown all throughout. Looks really cool. Same thing with like the arm bracers here. You get those like highlights like that. So I think that's awesome, dude. The paint apps came out so good on this, and he looks just like the sprite that we used to play just in 3D form. And again, it's just really cool in my opinion seeing this figure after all these years. Like I want more of this, man. We really, a lot of us who grew up in the 80s and the 90s that grew up with like, you know, Nintendo and Sega Genesis and things like that, there were all of these amazing video games that we never got good toys of or anything really. So it's really cool to finally see stuff like this. So I hope to see a lot more video game action figures like this, because this just turned out to be a lot of fun. Okay, so now let's talk accessories, because it comes with a pretty decent amount of stuff, which I do appreciate. So we do get interchangeable hands. We got a pair of closed-fisted hands, a pair of gripping hands, and a pair of more open palm hands for things like stylized posing. You can see, of course, he does come with his jetpack with flame effects coming out of it. That's pretty cool as well. You can see that we do got two different swords, which is great. Then we got interchangeable tails, which is a lot of fun, so I do like that. The more elongated one for like flying and things like that, one is a little more stretched out. Then you actually got three different types of helmet goggles, which I think is really cool too. So I think this is awesome, man. So I really dig how they did this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this faceplate off because there are interchangeable faceplates. But I'm going to take that off first, because then I'm going to take off the head itself here. And it can be a little tight, so you just want to be careful when you do this. So when you do get it off, it's going to be something like this. And then how these goggles are going to work, you're actually going to pull these down like so. And then you're going to interchange them with these ones right here from the bottom like that, and then kind of pull them up like so over that. And then we could put on the head again, slide that back on like so, kind of line up those goggles like that. Now, what's really cool This is meant to give the figure more articulation when he looks up. You can see the hinge back there. Now, if you see the one that it started off with, it has a much more downed like helmet piece that goes further around the neck, where this one is more up. So it's going to allow for a lot more articulation for this hinge to go all the way up like that, which is really cool. And then we can go ahead and just pop this on, and it can be a little tight, so you might have to heat things up here and there when you're first starting to do this. What I also like is it's pretty cool. I don't know if this was an intended feature, but you can take the goggles and then bring them down to like fit over the eyes if you wanted to. And that works for any of the faces. It also works for the other part, the helmet too. But these ones go on like that, so I think that's really fun if you want to do something like that. But most of the time we saw him like this in the game. And again, since there's much more clearance, you could get this to look much more up like that to get those flying poses like you see in the video game. So I think that's really, really cool. We of course again do get his jetpack. This tail, let's do this tail first actually. This just comes off, it's just on a simple little peg, and then we can get more of that flying tail. Just peg that in like so, and it is on that hinge, so we can hinge that down like that. And then let's take this jetpack and then plug that in like so. And I love the paint apps on that as well. Again, I just love how they did this like glaring effect and things like that to make it look like it's like metallic, but still kind of video game-ish, you know what I mean? I think that's super cool. And then we do get those fire effects. These can be a little tight, so I like to push and twist like that. And then same thing with the other one in here, like this, push and twist like that. And the paint apps on this are good as well, man. Look at that. That red that fades into the yellow with a little bit of white. The colors on that look amazing. Great job with that. So let's put this guy down real quick before so he doesn't fall. The sword band, the swords, I should say. The paint apps on these are gorgeous. Look at the colors on that. The different fades of blues and like whites there. Same thing with the handle, the glare. How they did the paint apps on these are great. Now I love the fact that it comes with two swords. So here's more your standard sword, which looks incredible by the way. But I also love this one that's more like curved. This is to give it that more like action pose, like it's being swung. I think that looks amazing. Same great paint apps, dude. The handle again looks so good. I dig this so much. Now, something to note, the gripping hands when you first get him are fairly tight, so I did have to heat mine up. So just be wary of that. But once I did that, I noticed it goes on fairly easily now. So just like I use the running hot water technique to heat up my figures. So once I did it, it worked that one time, and then that's all I really needed to do. And now they go in there fairly easily. So this is awesome, dude. Look at that with the sword, with just everything, the jetpack on there, the tail like that. This is a cool freaking toy, especially if you're such a big fan of this video game. I think you'll absolutely love this. This is just one of those things that, like, man, I wish we had gotten this, 35 plus years ago. Would have been incredible. What I also like too, it's not really an accessory, but the insert from the box, you could take that out and use that as a display for him if you want to. I think that's super fun as well. So just giving you more options. And then the final accessories that we're going to get, we do get the interchangeable faceplate. So I think that's really, really cool. So like this one right here, I have the teeth on the one side, which I think is great. I love the look of that. The eyes look fantastic. Let's go ahead and get him right there. Hopefully I don't knock him over. We also do get this one with the side smile like that, which looks great as well. You have a little more angry one with the side eyes, and he has a little more of a, a little bit of more of an angry face like that with that brow. Looks so good. And then this might be the one I display him with the more open mouth and the tongue showing and the side eye. I just love that. And I love the little glare on all the noses. I think that little bit of white right there on the nose just looks so good. So when I put him on the shelf, I don't know what it is. I think this might be the one that I personally display him with. So this is a lot of fun, man. Again, oopsie, I'm already gonna drop him because I'm a big chunky fingers guy. Anyways, this looks cool, dude. I am so glad we're getting stuff like this. Hopefully more characters down the road. I think they showed off and was it a Shinobi figure that I'm dying to take a look at. So more video game figures of, you know, some of our classic video games I love. This is a ton of fun, man. Really dig this. So now let's go ahead and run down the articulation here. So I've already kind of showed you how that head works. It is on that hinge and peg system like that. So it looks up about that far, even further with the other helmet like I've already showed you. Down, and it does rotate left and right. These shoulder pads are on separate little hinges, so they can kind of move out of the way when you're articulating the arms. Arms do go full 360 like so. Up and out about that far. We can rotate at the elbow as well as a bend at the elbow. That's pretty good. Again, these are separate pieces right here. So you can rotate the hand as well as at the wrist, excuse me, as well as a hinge at the wrist. So that's pretty good. And it kind of does feel like the midsection here is possibly on a ball joint, because it kind of rolls around like that. Does turn left and right, crunches back and forth a bit. So I'm pretty sure that's a ball joint. That's how it feels. The hips are also on ball joints and then kick up that far. So that's actually very good. Back all the way like so. Can do some Van Damme splits about that far. That's pretty nice. And then again, they do kind of swivel a little bit. Same things with the knees. You can rotate at the knees as well as a bend at the knee. Again, things can be a little tight, but once you get them going, you loosen them up, they do pin fairly good, so that's pretty nice. And then the feet are also on straight little pegs with a slight hinge too. I have taken them off so you can rotate them, kind of go up and down, a little bit of an ankle rocker, things like that. I then think, of course, things like the tail can swivel like so, as well as a different hinge. Both tails are like that, so I think this is pretty cool, man. Pretty decent articulation. And one thing I do like, you know, you do have to heat things up, of course, here and there. But once I did that, man, everything feels super buttery. Almost feels like a Jada Toys like Mega Man figure when you get that in. The articulation kind of feels like that, and the plastic feels a little similar to that. So I think this is pretty cool, man. It feels great. And again, I just love that we're getting this so many years later from playing this as a kid. Super fun toy, and in my opinion, a definite must get. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and Mafex Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to McFarlane Toys Spawn and Storm Collectibles Ermac. And for some video game comparison, here he is standing next to the Jada Toys Mega Man and Figma Link. So there it is, guys, my look at Sparkster the Opossum. Now this is just a figure that I never thought we would actually see, and I'm sure like a lot of you, we all loved this video game back in the day. It was just so fun and so iconic, and I'm just kind of tripping out that we actually have this nowadays. The sculpt is incredible in my opinion. Those paint apps, dude, oh my god, those are next level. I love the different fades of blue and the shadows and those different highlights and glares all throughout, even things like on the nose, and those paint apps on the goggles, and those swords are oh so chef's kiss. They did an incredible job with those. The jetpack looks good as well with those painted fire effects. That's really awesome. Again, just to be warned, you will need to heat some of these things up, like some of the articulation joints and the gripping hand to grip the sword. It is best to heat those up before you're actually posing them around and things like that, just to avoid breakage. Once I heated mine up, he moves so smoothly. He's very easy to manipulate and position and things like that, so that's very cool. I think he's a fun toy, and I think you would absolutely love him for your collections. So don't forget to be excellent to each other, and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.